Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is often hailed as one of the greatest superhero films of all time, but is it actually that flawless? Today we're going to break down why this beloved Batman film might actually be one of Nolan's most overrated movies ever.
So, kicking it off with Batman. This takes place about a year or several months after Batman Begins. And after Batman Begins, we get the nod, the Easter egg to the Joker. So we knew that diving into this one, we were going to get the Joker. So Batman's been on this journey where, he's been fighting crime every night, and it shows it throughout the movie that he's, going to work. I don't know why he goes to work, because Lucius Fox clearly runs Wayne Enterprises.
Does a great job, too.
And absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't even show up. And so Bruce is, because he's a vigilante, he's out fighting that night. He really is the Batman. He's, dead asleep in his boardroom, which is what most of us would be doing. We see the evolution of what this is doing to him, and it's only been a couple months to a year. And he's got bruises, broken bones, and things like lacerations and stuff like that. And it shows that it's taken a toll even on the bat suit, which I like to see. I don't like to see this whole perfect thing where, he's completely bulletproof and we see he gets attacked by a dog. I like that. I like to see that Batman, because there's a whole dialogue between him and Alfred where Alfred tells him, you really got to, learn your limits, Master Wayne. And I love the fact that Bruce hits him back with, Batman has no limits. And Alfred says, right, but Bruce Wayne does, because you're flesh and blood. And I really like that, because it digs into this whole idea of that Bruce separates the two personas, Bruce Wayne and Batman. And Batman is this symbol. He's this legend that he's created. And so it's not flesh and blood. So he has to, at least in his mind, pretend that, hey, man, no matter what happens, I can't stop. I really dig that. I think Christian Bale took this a step further. I think the dynamic between the characters is very, very good in this movie. It just went a notch up from the previous movie, which was really good. And I love that father figure that Alfred has really become, where he's worried, but Alfred is also this more mature father figure where, although I worry for my child, I also have to let him live his own life. And it's very hard as a father to do that, to let your kids do, go off and do things that are dangerous. And Alfred manages that very, very well. Those are the good things about Batman. He evolves to a point where he even goes to Lucius and tells him, hey, dude, I really got to, because they didn't perfect that in the first one. I told you guys in our last video about when he and there's a scene, if you don't believe me here, and even in this movie, where it's Harvey Dent, Lieutenant Gordon, and Batman, and they're having this dialogue, this very intense dialogue, and Batman's standing there, and his neck is like arched like this the whole time. So he goes to Lucius, and he's like, dude, I really need an upgrade. And he gets an upgrade to the suit. And now it's like all segmented, which there's a trade-off, as Lucius tells him. He's like, yeah, you're more agile, you're able to move more, you're faster, but the separation of the plates, you're going to get stabbed and stuff like that. And we see it happen. And I like that. I like that there's an evolution to the suit. I don't necessarily need that every movie. I perhaps just would have changed the cowl, but I really dug the suit from the first movie. He gets a couple more upgrades, more weapons and things like that. We see him do the little, white blue eyes, because there's a bunch of stuff that he's got, like this sonar thing. And he gets a new vehicle that I've never really fell in love with. I was a big fan of the Tumbler. It took me a while to get used to it. But sadly, we continue with this, and we talked a lot about this in our previous video. We continue with this BS fighting style, and it shows even more. I just rewatched the movie again last night with my family, and it shows even more, like when he's just doing this to fight off villains. It's ridiculous. That and the progression of the infamous Batman cancerous voice. You could really tell he stepped it up here.
It goes deeper.
It's way more pronounced, and every time he does it, every time Batman speaks, I'm like, that dude, man, his throat has to hurt.
Honestly, when I first listened to it, like when I just watched it again as well, I thought for a second he was using a voice modulator until I remembered he's not. And it sounds like it, and that's how much he's destroying his voice.
It sounds rough, man.
Yeah. I agree with everything Edward said. There are a few other points I do want to elaborate on, but I do think Christian Bale's a pretty good Batman. I like where they took Batman in this movie. I like how we have this whole Harvey Dent White Knight story. We'll get a little bit more into it later, but I like how Batman wanted to take the fall for Harvey Dent so they can still have him up on this pedestal, and how Batman was more self-sacrificing with it because he could. And I love that. I love how he's taking the fall for it, being hunted down by the police. I think that was a great way to take it, and I think it was a good way to show the progression of Batman since Batman Begins. I also really like how they continue to build upon Bruce Wayne's previous criminal experience from Batman Begins, and how they continue to show he still had some of those connections and some of that experience in this movie when he needed to go to China and got in via some Korean smugglers. I dug that. I like how they continue building upon it instead of just forgetting about it. And then for Harvey Dent, funny enough, I feel two different ways about him in this movie. I think he is some of the best aspects of this movie as well as the worst aspects about this movie. I think the actor did a tremendous job. I think he was a really good Harvey Dent. There are even scenes in this movie, there's one Edward just referenced with Bale's neck being crooked, that's straight out of the comics with The Long Halloween, which is so cool. And I think this Harvey Dent, I think his iteration was really good as Harvey Dent. I really enjoyed it. I like how they had nods to his comic origin at the very beginning of the movie when you have Harvey Dent in the courtroom. Kind of alluding to how we became Two-Face in the comics, even though they go a little bit of a different route here. I like how his relationship with Batman and Gordon, how Dent wants to get in on this. He wants to try to help the city. He recognizes all the work that Batman's doing, and even though it may not be lawful, he still recognizes it's still beneficial for the city, and he deems that then okay and wants to help. I really dig that, as not everything that's going to be beneficial is going to be lawful, but sometimes you do still have to do it. And I just think their interactions were so good, especially with him and Gordon going back and forth of the different methods, and how them not trusting each other at the beginning, and Gordon accusing Dent of like vetting everyone in his office and saying, why would you ever do that? Of course they're all good cops. And then of course as the movie goes on, one thing I don't necessarily get is why Harvey Dent's nickname in Internal Affairs was Two-Face. I kind of wish they went into that a little bit more. It seemed really
I get that
forced.
I understand that 100%.
Okay. What was the reason?
So, and I like that they gave Harvey that. I was surprised that they were that smart about it. So Harvey Dent used to work at Internal Affairs, which, if you know, to Internal Affairs, he was in charge of like looking into dirty cops.
Yeah.
And he would call them out and get them busted. So the nickname Two-Face, I love the way they came up with it, because it's like you have to approach these people in a friendly way. So that's why they gave him the name Two-Face, because he was like, oh, you come at me, peacefully and like a friend, and then you accuse me of crap. That's why they started calling him Harvey Dent Two-Face, because he worked at Internal Affairs. I love that they gave him that twist, because in the comics, as Griff said, Batman Year One, The Long Halloween, those are connected. Those, take place in the same universe. And so in the comics, Batman and Harvey are already working together secretly behind Gordon's back, which I always thought was kind of fucked up, because Gordon's like, Batman's kind of playing it off like, I don't really know the new DA, because he really is the new district attorney, freshly new district attorney, from Batman Year One to The Long Halloween. I love that progression. But this whole time, Batman's kind of jerking Gordon around like, do you trust him? While he's been working with the fucker for over a year now. I like that. Yeah. In the movie, they changed that up. In the movie, it's Harvey who has a hard-on for like, hey, I want to meet him. I want to get to know this guy. Let's work. The three of us, let's work together. And Gordon's the one that's like, I don't know. He's playing it soft. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Even though he's got that big-ass fog light on the top of the MCU, which even Dent tells him. And I love that he calls him out on this BS. He's like, what about that fog light? And Gordon's slick about it. He's like, I don't know, man. Talk to maintenance. I don't know what you're talking about. What a fucker. Yeah. And I really like that. But that's why they call
that makes sense.
Harvey Two-Face.
I think, again, Harvey Dent, he did amazing. But when he became Two-Face, things fell apart. Not to the fault of the actor. Completely on the fault of the writing. It was way too fast. It was insanely fast. He was Two-Face for all of, 20 to 30 minutes? When he could have easily had a whole third movie about it. And done it would have just been so much better. I just don't like how rushed it was. I don't think this progression from him, I think it sort of stopped right after the Joker and get a new movie from there. I think just the way they handled Two-Face was just really fast, when they could have just absolutely destroyed Batman and Gordon with it, and it just wasn't good. This movie just
I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit there. So first, I do want to talk about Harvey Dent's good stuff, everything I said, like how they set him up, which I still think he should have been set up. I agree with David S. Goyer, the writer, the co-writer of these movies. I agree with him. He should have been set up in the first one.
Yes.
Because I just don't think that you can give justice and that's not a pun, to Harvey Dent in one movie.
Yeah.
It's an arc because there's this whole progression with his mental state that takes place over, a big ass book. And in the animated movie, 2 movies. Just boom, and it's done.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole bunch of shit going on at home, by the way, that we never see in the live action movie. There's no mention about. Well, there is, but it's Rachel Dawes, and yeah,
that's different.
we'll talk about her in a minute. But I like the actor. I think Aaron played a good Harvey Dent. I like what they did, what very little they did show of him in the courtroom, because it also pissed me off that all of a sudden, like, he just. I know he's got a hard on for her, but all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, let's just let Rachel take the lead. Dude, you're the district attorney of this rotten city. You do that. You're far better and far more equipped than she ever is. She's an assistant district attorney. So why the fuck are you letting her, that wouldn't happen in real life. Well, if you're an asshole. I didn't like that. I also didn't like the fact that they do rush the story. Harvey Dent and Two-Face. Now, where I disagree with Griffin is, I don't mind the fact that they turned him into Two-Face in this movie. I just wish that they
No, he should be Two-Face in this movie. You just should have ended right. He shouldn't.
Yeah, they should have left
it at all there. Yeah, they should have left it alone. They should become Two-Face, stop the Joker, end the movie. Third movie's all about Two-Face.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
No, we're on the same page.
He would have been a
much better
villain for the third movie. And again, there are interviews out there where David S. Goyer, this is where he strongly disagreed with Nolan, where he was like, dude, you already have an extremely solid villain for your third one. You've built him up here. They disagreed strongly on the fact that he was killed off here. He was like, yeah, it's beautiful, it's poetic.
No.
But I would have left him for the third one, and I would have had him, instead of Bane, and we'll get into that in a further video, but the fall of Harvey, because it is a beautiful story. The rise and fall of Harvey Dent, and how even in the Joker was able to pull this larger-than-life personality and just tear him apart.
Yeah.
He's not... And the Joker... It depends on how you analyze this movie, but the Joker didn't win. Because regardless of what he was able...
Because of Batman's sacrifice.
Harvey Dent was flawed. There was always something a little not 100% here, and Joker takes advantage of that. However, there's a scene in prison where it's Batman and Joker. This scene's been memed all over the goddamn place. And Joker knows it's kind of like Jesus versus the devil, where, like, the devil tempts Jesus and Jesus doesn't fall for it. Well, Joker tries to really, really hard to get Batman to kill him. And he even tells him, I love that line where he was like, this is what happens when, an unstoppable force meets a wall. It just doesn't go anywhere. And that's what happens with the Joker and Batman. Batman won't budge. He won't kill him. He won't go that far. And there's another scene where Batman even admits, he was like, this is what I would have to become to stop a man like this. But he won't do it. And even Alfred's like, I know you're not going to do it. So the fall of Harvey Dent doesn't really give Joker what he wants. Because even though, Batman took the fall, Joker knows it's bullshit. Joker knows that, it's not him. So I do like the actor. I just don't like the fact that they rushed it. It was too rushed. I wanted him in the first one.
Yep.
And I definitely didn't want him to fucking die in this one. There were doubts of whether or not he was still alive, and then Nolan immediately came out. I was like, no, he fucking broke his neck. He's dead. So we all know that infamous scene that I'm talking about where they're in the prison cell. Joker is played by Heath Ledger, and I'll admit, when this was announced, I was like, that fucking Brokeback Mountain guy. And I think that was on most of our minds. If you're one of these dudes who's like, I was always team Heath, you're fucking lying to yourself. There's no way. But he proved, I was proved wrong from a teaser trailer where there was no image. It was just a big ass bat signal with smoke and Heath's voice in the background, just saying some crazy shit and laughing. I was like, that sounds pretty fucking badass. I'm not going to lie. And then Nolan teased us with this picture of him where it was all scarred up and fucked up. And I was like, that's crazy as fuck. And then all the posters where it was like, why so serious and stuff like that. And then the movie. But I do want to ask, who is your favorite Joker? Whether that is comics, live action, animated, who is your favorite Joker? I know for Griffin and I think we agree that it is Mark Hamill for us.
100%.
We just with Mark. First of all, if you've ever seen footage of Mark Hamill doing the voice of the Joker, that shit will brighten your day. I promise you.
Oh,
it is the crazy shit on the planet when he's just doing the voice, because he does a lot of stuff with his hands, and you just don't see that face with that voice. And what he's able to do is crazy. But getting back into Heath's Joker. So what he does is, because we're coming from, or at least most of us, we're coming from Jack Nicholson's Joker. This is a very different iteration. This guy was not dropped in a vat of crazy green shit. He pretty much kind of did this to himself. And I love that he plays with his origin, where every time he's telling it to someone, it's a different fucking thing, and you don't know what the hell really happened. For all I know, he's completely making all of that shit up. Some of it is probably true, but who the hell knows? I love that. And I love the fact that he says he's not crazy when clearly there's something fucking wrong with that dude. I mean, he's fucking nuts. I also love the balls that this guy has when he walks into a room full of mob lords or drug kingpins, if you will, and he totally fucks with them. He's like, you guys paid for this, and I want half of your money, and I'll kill the Batman for you. And the whole time, the beauty of that, well, not the beauty because it sounds kind of twisted, but
it's kind of
the brilliance of it is that he has no intention of killing Batman whatsoever. He's just fucking with them, and his whole entire plan is, I'm taking over the entire criminal organizations of Gotham. I'm going to take all your money. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to kill the Batman, while really knowing he doesn't, because he says it best, and I love that he admits it. He admits it to Harvey in the hospital. He's like, I don't want to kill him. I wouldn't know what would I do without him.
Yeah.
He's like, he literally says, I'm like a dog chasing a car. Once I catch it, I won't know what the hell to do with it, but it's fun. That is sadistic, but it's also fucking brilliant for this movie. I mean, Heath is great. For once, I was able to. He's one of these actors where I never thought that's Heath Ledger. I just was like, that is 100% the fucking Joker. He's got no name. He's not this Jack Napier. He has no real motive as like with Magneto, where it's like, well, he's a Holocaust survivor and he went through that as a child and now he's kind of living it as an adult. Or Dr. Doom, where he's like, Reed Richards is an asshole. He married the woman that I love. My face is all fucked up and I want world dominance. Joker just does. For no it's like a hurricane. There's no explanation as to why a hurricane happens. Well, there's scientific there's reasons, Heath, and all pressure and all shit. Like, but it happens because it's a force of nature. Joker, same way. He just fucking goes, and it's also bullshit because he's like, I have no plan, dude. You thought of all of that, man. Exactly. And I like that. I like that we can call him on his BS, and everything he says is, it's not planned. No, you thought of the oil drums. You thought of kidnapping Harvey. You plotted all of that out. But it falls in line in a brilliant way. And I like that he's this perfect yin and yang to Batman, where Batman has a line he won't cross. And to stop the Joker, Joker's like, you have to cross that line, man. That scene in the prison room where Rachel and Harvey have been kidnapped. And he tells him. And he tells him purposely because he wants him to kill him.
Yeah.
Because if he kills him, Joker wins. And Batman's beating the shit out of him, and he's just like, if you want to know, you got to kill me. I got to say, I mean, Batman is stomped.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoy Heath Ledger's Joker. I do think it's perhaps a tad bit overrated, though. I don't think he's as good as everyone makes him out to be. I'm a huge fan of the Joker. From the comics to the animated series, I'm a fan of him just because I think the dynamic, as Edward's been talking about this entire video, between Batman and Joker is really well written. I think the way they introduced the Joker was fantastic with that bank scene, because after that scene, you never know what Joker's going to be planning and what he's going to do next. And I think it set the tone of the movie so well, because who the fuck knows what's going to happen? And with the Joker, that's always what you want to be doing. You always want to be at the edge of your seat, always on your toes, and I dug that. I like, even though it's a lot more of a sick, twisted humor, I do like the Joker's humor and his gags, like the disappearing pencil trick, just his interactions with... Yeah.
Who did it first?
True. I love his interactions with all the characters, how he makes everyone uncomfortable, and it's just how he carries himself is so well done. I agree with everything Edward says. I don't have too much to add, but I love watching the Joker's foresight of how far he planned ahead. Like, he planned ridiculously far. As Edward said, he had a very definitive plan, and he caught Batman off guard almost every single turn, which is very impressive. There were a few moments that did make me laugh, but not necessarily in a great way, is when we're at the hospital scene, because I have two things about it. One of them, how did Dent think that the Joker was a legitimate nurse till he took off the mask? What sort of nurse is going to walk around wearing cakey white paint on their face, and you're not going to immediately think it's the Joker? That was kind of dumb.
I think he knew pretty early on, as soon as he saw him.
He didn't react at all to that it was the Joker till the Joker took off his mask. He did not react a single bit.
Oh, well, I mean, you could also chalk that up to that half his fucking face is gone, so and he's on meds.
Sure. You know what? Okay, yeah, fine.
I know. I know within the context of the movie, like Gordon's like, I know you're refusing anesthetic. Yeah. There's he would have fucking died. There's no goddamn dude. Half of his fucking face.
And the makeup or CGI, what they did for it's amazing for that.
Oh too. Yeah. But there's no way that dude is like, I don't want any anesthetic, dude. They pumped him.
You'd be
He's got IVs and shit hooked up to him. Yeah, he would have died.
Perhaps one of my favorite unscripted accidental moments in almost any movie occurs in this movie, also in the hospital scene when they're doing all the pyrotechnics of blowing up the hospital, is when he turns around thinking the explosion's going to go off.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't scripted. I love that. No. It was supposed to go off. It just didn't, and kept banging the detonator for it to go off. I think that was so in character, and I think it was so well done. I loved that. I think that's one of my favorite unscripted scenes.
It's one of my favorite behind the scenes because he's doing it, and he's and you can see Nolan was like, keep fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And when it goes off, he's like, oh shit! It scares the fuck out of him. And even there's
it's so good.
Heath talked about it in the behind. He was that scared the shit out of me. Because I thought it wasn't going to go off, and then when it did go, that's why if you watch that scene, he gets rattled, and he just takes off. He's like,
but I think it fits really well. I think it fits so 100%. Well. 100%.
Because that happens to him a lot in the animated series, where some of his gags don't work, and when they work, he's like,
yeah. It's such a shame that Heath Ledger did pass away so early. I would have loved to see his appearance in the third movie as he was supposed to. It is such a shame. He was definitely one of the best actors in this film by far.
Oh, yeah. Well-deserved Oscar.
Oh, yeah. And then we get Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes. I didn't like her much in the first movie. I like her even less in the second movie. She is just a plot device in this movie. She doesn't serve anything to really do anything but further the plot of the fall of Harvey Dent. There's really no build-up for her and Harvey's relationship. They just start almost married, and then she doesn't really do anything. It's just not well written.
It's very well said. I almost forget that part. I mean, I didn't care for Rachel Dawes in the first one, although I kind of understood the necessity.
She made a lot more sense there.
She did make a lot more sense there, and she was played by, in my opinion, a far more attractive actor. It's just Maggie Gyllenhaal.
She's a better actress.
It's just fucking Jake Gyllenhaal with long hair, man. I just don't find that chick attractive at all. If I have a list of top 10 least attractive chicks, Maggie's top 4 easily. And her acting is not much better. And what Griff said makes perfect sense. Okay, so at the very end, and again, it's 9 to 12 months later. At the end of Batman Begins, she tells Bruce she loves him. They give each other a kiss, and she was like, if one day Gotham doesn't need Batman, I'll be there. And then we jump into the Dark Knight, and she's been dating Harvey for a while, because even Bruce is like, he's being creepy. He's stalking Rachel, and so he's looking at all this footage where you could clearly see every time they're together, they're just holding hands. So it's like, how much did you really love Batman? And even Bruce tells, and then also, she's kind of playing both sides, and which is fucked up because Bruce is like at that benefit. He's like, yeah, you said that the day would come when if Gotham didn't need Batman, and that day's arrived because look what he did without a mask. He locked up all the criminals in the city, and she's like, I guess all the while she's been telling Harvey, yeah, I'll marry you, and what. It's just not well written. It's one of the worst parts of the movie is the entire character of Rachel Dawes. It's poorly written. It's thrown together quickly. And again, this is a Nolan movie, but you can tell that there are flaws here. I think the character's shit. When she died, I was like...
Yeah, I didn't really feel much.
I also felt like both of these dudes could pull a better chick. I was just like, that's who Bruce Wayne's wants to ride off into the sunset with? I mean...
I also feel like her dying was kind of lame, too.
I didn't feel it was lame. I mean, you've seen who Bruce shows up with, right? He shows up with that Russian prima ballerina.
The whole Russian ballet group.
And then when he shows up to his own Harvey Dent benefit, and I believe in Harvey Dent, he shows up with like 5 chicks. All of them look like Victoria's Secret models, and I'm like, why is he crying over this biatch? If he's, you know what I mean? And it's like Bruce. If I was Bruce's friend, I'm like, bro. So I didn't care for that. And then we get into Jim Gordon. I do feel that he's had progression since the first movie. He's now, at the very end of the first movie, he's Lieutenant Gordon now. And he's got his own squad, so to speak. It's called the MCU, the Major Crime Unit, or something like that. Unfortunately, though, to Gordon's own demise, if you will, is it's not really his fault. He can't really, it's not like they're like, dude, pick the elite and we'll give you what you want. The mayor's kind of a dick in that aspect where he's like, this is what there is, man. So Gordon has to pick between all these people who are not the best cops. They all got some dirt on them.
Yeah.
And these are all cops that, by the way, leads back to what Griffin talked about earlier. All of them, every single one of the cops that Gordon works with, they were investigated by Harvey Dent. And Harvey Dent knows. And he tells Gordon, dude, they're all dirty. They've all done some shit that should have their badge removed. And Gordon's like, well, yeah, but that's what I got to work with. And it comes back and bites him in the ass really hard.
Yeah.
But I like that dynamic. I like the fact that Gordon's not a, even though Batman does tell him and Bruce Wayne believes it, Gordon's like this perfect cop. He's not. In the comics, in Batman Year One, he's out there cheating on his wife. He's banging this other chick. And
I
his
never
wife,
liked that, though.
I don't like that, but he's not a perfect man. And Gordon doesn't claim to be a perfect man. He knows he lives in this shit town with these shit people. And these are the cops that he's got to work with. And he can either trust them or he can just hang up his shit and just not do anything. And he tells Dent in his office when they first meet, yeah, I don't get points for like being political. I mean, this is what I got to work with. This is the town we work in. And if I had better cops, I would. And this is another reason why he works with Batman, because he knows that Batman's not dirty like his cops are. But it comes back and bites him in the ass, and I do like that progression. I like the fact that he's headstrong, that he's like, well, this is it. I mean, give me better cops and I'll work with them. And he's warned about it, and it does come back and bite him in the ass, and he's sorry for it. He tells Dent, he was like, I'm sorry, man. I mean, he does feel very responsible, because he is responsible for what happens to Dent. But also, Dent, I like the fact that, when the three of them take on this mission, Batman, Gordon, and Dent does tell Gordon, because Gordon also warns him, dude, it's one thing to, arrest and blah, blah, blah. We're going after the mob's life savings. Shit's going to get bad. And Dent tells him, I knew that when I took the job. That's easy to say.
I like how he further went that with the flipping a coin to see if he kills himself.
Yeah. But when your face is half gone and your chick's dead, it's a different scenario. So I like that. I like the fact that out of the three, and even though he does take the blame, out of the three that made this oath to, like, unspoken oath, if you will, to, take on crime in the city and whatever, the one that's still standing and is still perfect and hasn't fallen even for a minute, hasn't wavered, is Batman. The one that you would think out of the three, well, that guy's fucked up in the head. But he's the only one that upheld his values, didn't waver. And I like that. I like to see that progression because it furthers Gordon's plot in the third movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do like Gary Oldman.
He's amazing
in this role.
We guess him as commissioner now.
Yeah, and I like that scene. I like when he was like, yeah, Commissioner Gordon, because Commissioner Loeb sadly fucking died. And I also like the Commissioner. I like the twist that they did with Commissioner Loeb, because in the comics he's an asshole. He's a corrupt dickhead, and here he's a good cop. He's just fucking dies.
Yeah. For the writing and directing of this movie, besides all the bad things that we've stated already, I think the dialogue in this movie is some of the best dialogue in any movie. The dialogue's amazing. I mean, you've seen people quote this movie on an almost daily basis, even if they may not realize it's from this movie. It is extremely well written. I like how they do one thing that's very rarely ever done in movies. Whenever you see a countdown or a timer, it's always going to be wrong. But in the movie, when he's in China and they have the 2:30 countdown timer, that shit's 2:30. I love that. It's a small thing, but I like how they kept it, and they definitely have more of that time crunch that actually 2 minutes, 30 seconds actually does pass.
By the way, that was really Christian Bale up on that big-ass building.
I believe it.
Obviously, he didn't dive off of it like in the movie, but that was really him off the top of that fucking building. And I'm telling you right now, I would not have done that. There's no fucking way.
Not at all. Yeah, I think the writing and directing is really good. I think, though, it does have the flaws we stated, but it doesn't stop it from being a good movie.
I agree with Griffin. I don't think in any means that this is a bad movie. And if I've come across as that, I apologize ahead of time. I think it's a highly overrated
super overrated.
movie. I think yes. I do agree with Griffin. I think it is Christopher Nolan's. First of all, this may piss people off, but that's okay. I think Christopher Nolan as a director is overrated. Yes. I don't think he's the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. First of all, I don't think sliced bread is that great. I I think he's a very talented director. I think he's a talented writer, but I think that as everyone, he has flaws. I think that they clearly show in this movie. He rushes a couple of things. And again, this movie is very well made. I think it's a entertaining movie. I've seen this movie far more times than I've seen The Batman. I've seen this movie probably 20, 30. Obviously, this movie's been out for far longer than The Batman. And I think it's a good movie. Every time I watch it, I'm able to watch it all the way through, maybe pause it 1 or 2 times to go to the bathroom. I really enjoy it. My family enjoyed it. Last night was the first time that my little girl saw it. Obviously, there's scenes where I pause it. I'm like, go grab a juice box or something, come back, like the pencil scene. But she was able to enjoy it. She's 9 now, so it's not like she's 3 years old and I'm making her watch the Joker do crazy shit. And again, I pause it through some of the scenes that I don't think that she should see. But she liked it. She found Joker funny. She found Batman interesting. She's... and again, I'm not a bad parent because I won't let her watch Batman Returns because that is super sexualized. But this movie's enjoyable. My wife really loves this movie. And most of the people that I know enjoy this movie. And as a Batman fan, I enjoy this movie. But also as a Batman fan, I'm able to say, there are things... And it being overrated doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It just means it's not...
It's not as good as everyone says.
I've walked into rooms where they're just like, this is a magnum opus. This is like the greatest thing ever filmed. Greatest comic book movie. We just did a top 10 best comic book movies ever. And it's not even on our top 10 list. Doesn't mean it's not one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. It's just, in our opinion, it's not top 10. It's a greatly enjoyable movie. If you haven't seen it, where the hell have you been? But give it a shot. Go watch it. And if you have seen it, rewatch it and let us know your thoughts. Are we crazy? Is it overrated for you? Or is this The Dark Knight the greatest comic book movie ever made?
And you want to see what we think the best comic book movie ever made is, you can check out our top 10 list right now.